Hi, Rhema. It's week 46, day 1 of our Bible narrative reading plan. Today we're in the book of Acts, chapter 4, verses 32 through chapter 5, verse 16. Today we consider the idea of the fellowship of the early church. We see in this closing paragraph from chapter 4 that the church is holding everything in common. Now, this isn't communism. No one is forcing them to share all of their items, their belongings, but out of love for one another, because of what Christ has done for one another and brought them into one body, a body of believers, the church. They love one another and they willingly, voluntarily give up so much. They make sure that there's no one in need among the church. They're caring for one another's needs. They're bringing the proceeds from sales of property and giving it to the apostles to administrate for the church. And we even see an example here listed of the man we know as Barnabas. Barnabas came and he sold a field that belonged to him, and he brought the money and laid it at the apostles' feet. So this is common. Lots of people are doing this, but it's not required. And we see what happens in chapter 5 when someone lies about this. We're introduced to the couple of Ananias and his wife Sapphira. And they have a piece of land and they sell it and they bring money and they say that this is all of it. We've given all of our money to the church. That's what they're saying, but it's not true. No one required them to give this money. It was all voluntary, and they're choosing to lie about it. And I love here in this passage that we see clearly that the Holy Spirit is being identified as God. Some people would say, well, the Bible never says that the Holy Spirit is God. Yes, it does. Here, Peter is talking, and he's questioning them. And one time he says, you lied to God. And another time he says, you lied to the Holy Spirit. Peter is equating the Holy Spirit as being God. And Peter is questioning both Ananias and Sapphira, and they both lie about it. And it's a very somber episode as you read about here in the beginning of chapter 5. You see that all of this sharing for one another's needs, this was voluntary. No one required it, and you certainly shouldn't lie about it. And it's a serious thing to be a part of the church, and it's a serious thing to lie about what you're doing for the sake of the church. Sometimes people would say, well, church membership ought to be just the easiest thing in the world. But here, these believers in Jerusalem, they take it seriously. It's not okay for them to lie to the Holy Spirit. Well, you think, well, that might dampen or hinder church growth. People aren't going to want to come and be a part of the church if it's that serious. I mean, if you could lie about your offerings, if you could die because of your offerings, then that's pretty serious. We may not want to be a part of that. But no, you keep seeing that the church continues to grow. God is working through his church in the book of Acts, even as they hold all things in common and they fellowship with one another. Here's a summary of today's reading. For more information, go to tunemyheart.org.